Hello everyone, welcome to free crash course for competitive exams held by VIRAT Hindustan Sangham in association with Manifest IAS Bengaluru. This program is inspired by Dr. SUBRAMANIAN SWAMY and is convened by RAVISHANKar Sir, State Education Convener for VHS Karnataka branch. I am DHANUSH Kumar, I am the Chief Mentor of your program, been mentoring competitive service aspirants for past 5 years. So we are done with the 4 topics, polity, history, economy and geography, and we are negotiating the environmental part. Environmental part forms a very crucial for the general studies of any competitive exams, especially the UPSC and state services examinations. Especially UPSC, it's very important because your forest service also you will be writing together along with the forest service prelims and civil service prelims. You will be writing together. So the source for your environment is Shankar IAS or PMF IAS environment book. That would suffice for your environment preparation clubbed with the current affairs, right? So you can watch this program. This entire program is conducted online and you can watch this on the YouTube channel of VIRAT Hindustan Sangham, and also you can watch it on the YouTube channel of VIRAT Hindustan Sangham. For further any queries, feedback, any guidance you want, personal interaction, you can message in our Telegram group, VHS Education Forum. You can join the group and keep in touch with us. VHS Education Forum. It's a group on Telegram, right? So yesterday we dealt with what is the basic meaning of ecology, environment, what is it all about, and what is biosphere, what is a biome, what is ecosystem, what is the meaning of environment, what is ecotone, what is niche. All these things we have discussed yesterday. So today I am going to take up the functions. What is the function of ecosystem? What function does the ecosystem does on the earth, right? So what does it do? So ecosystem gives us food, it gives us shelter, right? It gives us the oxygen, it gives us all the resources we need for our sustenance, right? So how does it give? See, we are in constant interaction with the ecosystem, right? Environment. So the air we breathe is taken up by the trees and it gives the oxygen which we are going to breathe, right? It also gives us lot of the paper which you use, right? The paper, the purification of water, anything. So this interaction takes place to 2 things. One is the flow of energy and the another is the flow of nutrients, right? So there are 2 types of interaction. So the first type of interaction is flow of energy, energy in the ecosystem, right? So the energy flows from the producer to consumer. Who is the primary producer? It is a green plants which undergoes photosynthesis. From there it goes up to top consumer, that is top consumers are your eagles, vultures, all those things, right? There are 4 levels. So autotrophs and heterotrophs. So autotroph is 1 level, primary producer. Heterotrophs is 4 levels. 4 levels of heterotrophs for primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer, right? And also detrivores, or your eagles and vultures. So these are the 4 levels of heterotrophs, very important, right? Okay, so we have tropic. So this interaction among the autotrophs and heterotrophs is called as tropic level interaction. Tropic level, not the tropic of the climate. Now I'm not talking about that, but the tropic of the environment is different. So each level one organism is there, that is a tropic level, right? So we have 4 levels, I told you. Primary producers, primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer. So each level is a tropic level. So what is the interaction between these levels? So the nutrition flows from here to here, right? So that is called as a tropic level interaction. So from autotrophs to heterotrophs to the final detrivores, how the energy flows is the tropic level interaction. So this, see, from primary producer, primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer. So all these 2 are, see, this is a herbivorous, whereas these 2 are carnivorous. So then you have carnivorous, then you have the last level detrivores, which feed on the dead organisms. That is also so here you have top carnivores in the tertiary consumer, your lions and tigers. So the energy flows in one direction, unidirectional. It won't flow in the reverse direction. So this is important. The energy doesn't flow in the reverse direction. It always flows from the primary producers up to the detrivores. There is only one link. So, but at each level, as the energy flows from each level, at each level there is a loss of energy. How does the energy lost at each level? See, here you have primary consumer. This primary consumer does what? It does digestion, it does respiration, it does excretion, reproduction, and also breathing, right? So all these things at all these levels, all these organisms does all these activities. So while doing these activities, they will lose lot of energy. So here the energy will be high. As soon as we progress up the tropic levels, there will be loss of energy. How energy is lost? By respiration, digestion, reproduction, excretion, all these activities. Heat is lost at each level. That is why you will find just 3 to 4 levels, because by the time it reaches here, energy will be almost zero. That is why, so if energy was there even here, we could have had one more level, but energy will reduce at each level. That's why we will find only 4 to 5 levels. That's all. Above that, there are no levels, right? So under this tropic level interaction, that is interaction between these levels. So there are 3 concepts which we should know. 3 concepts. What are these? First is the concept of food chain. I have already discussed food chain. What is a food chain, right? Food chain means, so from grass is eaten by grasshopper is eaten by rat is eaten by snake is eaten by eagle is eaten by the microorganisms. That is the food chain. It is a feeding mechanism, the sequence of feeding mechanism, the concept of eating and also being eaten. You eat something, you will be eaten by someone else. So that is the food chain. So there will be energy transfer in this food chain. See, this is the food chain, grazing food chain. So there are 2 types of food chain. One is the terrestrial food chain, another is the aquatic food chain. See, in terrestrial, so primary producer, plant is eaten by caterpillar. So that is the primary consumer, herbivorous. It is eaten by lizard, secondary consumer, right, carnivorous. And it is eaten by tertiary consumer, snake. So there might be one quaternary consumer. Snake is eaten by what? Eagle. So that is a quaternary, so that's the top carnivorous. And eagle is eaten by some microorganisms after it is dead, right? So this is the grazing food chain. Grazing andre illi hullu irutte, right? Plants and grasses. And in aquatic ecosystem, aquatic andre neeralli irutte, there will be, see, whatever the plant on terrestrial, if it is in the water, it is called phytoplankton. Phytoplankton are the plants within the water. So that is eaten by zooplankton, animals. Animals, land mele idre we call it animals. If it is under the water, small organisms, insects adalla, it is called zooplankton. Zooplankton eat the phytoplankton. Zooplankton fish tinutte. Fish is eaten by some these pelicans, all those things, right? So here also this is the autotroph, is the heterotroph. So this is the food chain in the aquatic ecosystem. Right. So then we have this is the grazing food chain. Grazing andre, so from primary producers up to the top consumer. Then you have one more food chain called detritus food chain. Detritus food chain andre, from the it starts from the dead organisms. Suppose an animal is dead. Suppose a tree is dead. From that the detritus food chain starts based on the dead organic matter, right? So they yaar tintare, who will eat that? It is eaten by the microorganisms, small fungi, bacteria, insects. They are going to eat the dead organisms, right? So they will decompose. So if an organism is dead, so if it goes into the earth, it will get decomposed, right? How? Based on the microorganisms. They are going to eat the organisms, right? So one good example of detritus food chain is you have from litter, dead leaves. Litter and dead leaves. It is eaten by earthworm. Alva. So earthworm is eaten by whom? Earthworm is eaten by your hen or chicken. Hen or chicken, right? So later it is eaten by eagle. So this is a detritus food chain. One example of a detritus food chain, right? So this is this detritus food chain, it is actually linked to the grazing food chain. See, if there is no grazing food chain, how there will be detritus food chain? Idrudu end product is the beginning product of the detritus food chain. Here, whatever is the end product, it will be the source product for the detritus food chain, right? Okay, so this is all about the concept of food chain. Next, we will be progressing towards the concept of food web. See, when you look at the ecosystem per se, do you find always that these plants are always eaten by the caterpillar? No, right? So something else also might eat. Caterpillar may be eaten by lizard, also by snake directly, also by some other animal, right? So there is a complex interaction. I have told you already. It is called as food web, the web of food, right? So many food chains combine together to form a food web. This is a food web. See, here grass is there. Grass is eaten by grasshopper also, and rabbit also. Rabbit is eaten by hawk, and you have mouse. Mouse is also eaten by hawk. So mouse is eaten by snake. Snake is eaten by hawk. And you have grasshopper is directly eaten by the hawk. And you have grasshopper being eaten by lizard, and lizard in turn being eaten by the eagle. So this is a complex interaction, right? So for the best example is you are guys also. You sometimes you eat non-veg, you eat veg. So you are not dependent on a single product, right? So we are also a form of a food web. Okay, clear? Okay. So the same food will be the source for the same food will be eaten by many organisms. That is the food web. In food web, you find all possible transfers, all permutations and combinations you will find there, right? So food web, is food web good? Yes, food web is good because if there are more alternatives, see, lizard need not depend only on grasshopper. If there are more alternatives, what happens? There is high chance of survival. Hege, suppose let's say the entire grasshopper on the earth dies. There are no grasshoppers at all. Then lizard will also die, right? If it is directly dependent on grasshopper. So if the lizard has multiple food options, suppose you take the example, if you suppose you are dependent only on rice. Suppose rice gets exhausted on earth. There is no rice on earth. So automatically we will also die, right? So what happens? We are dependent on so many things. Wheat, we are dependent on dals, we are dependent on protein, carbs, so many things. Non-veg, veg. So that is why we are in a complex web. So the more the alternatives, more is the chances of survival. So vandila andre innond tinಕೊಂಡು ಜೀವನ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. So that is the concept of alternatives in the food web, right? So the food web changes seasonally. With seasons, we are going to eat different food. So next we will move towards a very important concept of your environment called as ecological pyramids. So what is a pyramid? So the pyramid, the definition of ecological pyramid is there. It is a steps in the tropic level. Andre producer, so I told you tropic level interaction. Producer, consumer, whatever is there, that steps from one level to another level, how the energy decreases, how the numbers decreases. From bottom level, if there are more grass, so top level there will be less animals. So this concept is the ecological pyramid. The definition of that is, so it's a steps of tropic level. Tropic level, whatever the steps are there, if it is expressed by diagram, if it is expressed by a proper diagram, then it is called as a ecological pyramid. It is very, very important. So ecological pyramid, you will find horizontal bars. I will show you how a ecological pyramid looks like. See, this is how a ecological pyramid looks like. So you will find horizontal bars. See, illi enide, first you have grass. Grass admele you have some insect here. So all the insects will be here, and you have all the rats here, all the snakes here, and eagle or peacock here, right? Peacock also eats snake, Allah. So see, this is a ecological pyramid. Very, very important. How energy from here. So illi see how there are so many grass, but here you have only one animal. So progressively the animals reduce. So this is the concept. So from the producer up to the top consumer, the pyramid is built. So in the ecological pyramid, there are three types of pyramid, sorry. So the first pyramid is a pyramid of numbers. So pyramid of numbers. So what is pyramid of numbers andre, you will count the number of species at each trophic level. Andre if you have let's say trees, you will count all the trees on earth, right? If you have here grasshopper, you will count all the grasshoppers on earth. So that is the concept of number of the pyramid of numbers, right? So this pyramid can be upright, it can be like this triangle up, or it can be inverted, ultanu irbodu, like this. Why upright, why inverted, we will discuss, right? So uprightly you always have, see this grassland. In the grassland you will find a upright kind of a ecological pyramid. So what happens in upright? See, this is upright. I have already explained. Let us take up the pond example. See, here you have this one type of animal here. That's small. That kind of animal is shown here. So that is eaten by fish. Fish is eaten by shark and some other bigger fish, and it is eaten by some bird, right? So this is in a upright pyramid of numbers in the aquatic ecosystem. This is terrestrial on land. This is aquatic ecosystem. And you have, so this is the pyramid of numbers in terrestrial, eco and aquatic. Then you have inverted pyramid of numbers, inverted. Why it is inverted? So individuals decrease. So at the bottom level, see, if you take the, let's say, take the example of a tree. So the tree itself is the producer. It produces lot of fruits, energy, and so many things. So these fruits are eaten by sparrows, birds, right? So number of trees is less, whereas number of sparrows is more. Then this sparrows is eaten by parasites, insects. When the sparrow die, it is consumed by the insects. So illi sparrows jasti irutte. Sparrows on one sparrow some 5 insects can eat, right? So number of insects will be more. Then you have, this is eaten by some other parasite, smaller parasites, fungi, bacteria, that will be more in number. So here also you will find increase in number from from bottom to top, right? Okay, so this is about the pyramid, ecological pyramid, or the pyramid of numbers. So pyramid of numbers only, what is the drawback? Why it is not good? See, it's practically impossible to count all the trees on earth or count all the sparrows on earth. So that is why it is difficult, and also we are not measuring the size of the animal. We are not measuring whether this sparrow is big or it is small, right? Size is also not being measured. That is why, because of this drawback, we will move to another concept called pyramid of biomass. Biomass. What do you mean by biomass? Organic mass. See, we are also organic alva. We are organic living beings. So normally organic amsha estide. What is the organic content in us, right? So if you take 1 kg of grass, what is the organic content in that grass? That is the biomass. Bio andre living, mass, the weight of that is biomass. So see, instead of counting the numbers, what we can do is we can weigh. Actually counting is difficult. What we can do is we can weigh these organisms alva, ತೂಕ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಇವನ್ನ. So when we weigh it, when we convert it into weight, that is the pyramid of biomass. In pyramid of biomass also you have both upright as well as inverted. So upright kuda irutte, inverted kuda irutte. So see, this is a grassland ecosystem. Here you have producer. Producer is the grass. So here you have 1000 kg of grass. This 1000 kg of grass is eaten by 100 kg of, it is eaten by deer and rabbit. So the weight of deer and rabbit is just 100 kg. It will eat 1000 kg. Right? So then this deer and rabbit 100 kg is eaten by one wolf. That wolf weight is, let's say, 10 kg. Then later this is eaten by the top carnivore. The example they have taken 1 kg, that is lion, right? So this you can increase. Andre here bottom only 1000 kg of biomass iddidu, that entire thing when it comes, by the time it comes to the top, it is reduced to 1 kg. Why reduction? Because at each level there is loss of heat, there is loss of energy, right? By the time it comes to the top, there is complete reduction of the heat and energy, right? So illi what are we weighing? Actually we are weighing the dry weight. And then if we weigh us, we have lot of water content in our body, but dry weight ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ ನಮ್ದು body ಇದು, that is measured in the pyramid of biomass. So illi one problem is solved. Illi we need not measure the size, whether the animal is big or it is small, we need not be bothered. We can just measure the weight of the organism, right? So there is one speciality about pyramid of biomass. On the land pyramid of biomass is always in this upright. Andre kelgade bottom it is flat, top it is pointed. But when it comes to aquatic ecosystem, pyramid of biomass is inverted. So this is a speciality, but in pyramid of numbers it can be anything. But illi aquatic is always inverted, terrestrial is always upright, right? Okay. So illi we will talk about the inverted one. See, here you have small mollusks. Mollusks are some kind of organism. So illi producer, so let's say this is a phytoplankton or mollusk. So illi it is just 4 gram ide. So it is being eaten by herbivorous fishes which are 8 gram, and that is in turn eaten by the sharks which measure 12 grams, right? So it is biomass is increasing from bottom to top, right? So this is the pyramid of biomass in the aquatic ecosystem, which is always inverted, right? So illi consumers to biomass is more. So consumers, see, let's say this one fish eats some 100 grams of mollusk. So the weight of this fish is more than the mollusk, right? So as we progress up in the aquatic, the weight increases, biomass increases. Don't go deeper into this. Just remember it is always inverted. If you break your head, it is not useful. Then you have, see, this biomass, it is also impossible to measure the weight of all the organisms on the earth. So there is one more pyramid called the energy pyramid. Pyramid of energy concept. So energy pyramid ali, what do they do? How much energy is there? I'll show you the pyramid, then it, see how much energy is there at each level, that is measured. So it compares the functional role of trophic levels. Andre illi grass ide, at what is the function that is this grass is performing? Yarar uta korta ide this grass, what photosynthesis is doing, right? And here you have some insects. What is this insect doing? What is this rat doing? What is this eagle doing, right? So it compares the functional role. So here this shows, see, what is the source of energy for all this? It is the, what is the source? Sun is the source. Sun in the energy comes to the grass. From grass it goes to this insects. From insects to rats, and rats to the eagle, the top level, right? So solar energy is converted into chemical energy, and chemical energy is lost at every level by heat energy. Chemical energy, see, you eat the grass, what it is? It's a chemical, right? So it goes and converts, it gets converted into something, but our conversion will get lost in the form of heat at each level, right? So this is the pyramid of biomass. Here also there is loss of energy. So the one speciality of pyramid of pyramid of energy is it is always pointed. It is never inverted. Pyramid of energy is always like this. It can never be ulta, inverted, right? So what is the use of this pyramid of bioenergy? Andre, there is one concept called biomagnification. So what is biomagnification? See, let's say every day you are drinking unhealthy water or the water which is polluted. Let's say the water has got arsenic. You are every day drinking the same water. So just by drinking one glass of water, will you fall ill? No. So that arsenic will slowly go on accumulating in your body and it gets magnified at one point of time. That is bioaccumulation. So that bioaccumulation is explained by this pyramid of energy. So let's say these insects are eating this grass which is spoiled by some chemical, let's say mercury or something. No, mercury, if they eat, they'll die suddenly. So let's say some poison, let's say, which is that? Okay, let's take arsenic, fluoride, let's say fluoride. So what happens? These insects, suddenly they won't die, they will be eating this grass again and again because they are hungry. They will eat lot of grass, this fluoride will get accumulated and one fine day they will die. They can't go to hospital like us, they will die. So that is biomagnification. So this is all about the pyramids. So next we will move to the concept of pollutants and trophic level. Just now what I explained, the pollutant, how it gets increased in the body. Age trophic level pollutants go on increasing. So that we will discuss now. So the pollutants move through various trophic levels. So these pollutants, if you take DDT, if you take arsenic, if you take uranium, if you take fluoride, so they are not biodegradable. Andre they koliyalla. So they get accumulated in the body. So small, so it's just like slow poison. Small things, in small quantities it will start get accumulating and one fine day it will become huge in the body and it will start harming us. So with respect to pollutants in the trophic level, we have two phenomena. The first phenomena is bioaccumulation. What is bioaccumulation? Bioaccumulation andre how the pollutant enters our body. Some toxic element, how it enters the food chain, it is bioaccumulation. How it enters the food chain is called as bioaccumulation, right? So then you have the concept of biomagnification. So biomagnification, it's better for me to show the diagram. So this is biomagnification. So let's say there is some pollutant in the water, fluoride. So the fluoride, it is taken up by the producer, primary producer, some plant. So fluoride gets concentrated here. Here it will become 1000. From 1000, it will become 10,000 in the zooplankton. That is in the water. Water alive zooplankton is an animal. And it is eaten by fish. In the fish, it will become 1 lakh. Right? Andre? Progressively it is increasing, the poison is increasing and large fish it will become 10 lakh and fish eating birds it will become 1 crore, right? So as you can see, when the fishes are dead in the lakes or oceans, you don't consume the dead fish because it will be poisoned, right? If you eat that poison will enter into your body. Not one day it will not affect, but slowly it will go on accumulating and it will become huge in number and affect the body, right? So this is the concept of biomagnification. Andre pollutants get concentrated andre no increase in intensity. So they get concentrated from one level to other level. See, these pollutants, when they are harmful, when they are long-lived, mobile, soluble in flats and biologically active, all these concepts are very, very important. So long-lived andre suppose a chemical is short-lived andre chemical is active for only one day, it will not do any harm. But biomagnification agbekandre the chemical should be long-lived. That is the first condition. Then it should be mobile. Mobile andre not the mobile phone. So if the pollutant is static andre onde kade idre it does not cause any harm. But if it is moving, so onde kade idre it will get stuck in some rock or something. But if it is moving, it will enter our body. If it should be mobile, the third thing is it should be soluble in fats. This is very important. See, suppose a pollutant is soluble in water. That is why, see, if children or even if we eat something which is not good for the body, let's say you consume alcohol, which is not good for the body. So what they advise, you should drink lot of water. What happens? All the toxins produced by the alcohol or anything for that matter, any bad food, that will be dissolved in the water and it will come out of the body. Water will remove it. That is why water is called as a purifying agent. But if the pollutant gets inside the fat alli hodaga adu aache baralla. So it should be soluble in fat in order to harm. And the fourth thing is, it should be biologically active. Biologically active andre if it gets into the blood, it should cause some reaction. Then only the pollutant will harm. So the best example illi nimige see mother feeding milk to the baby. So milk will have lot of fat content, right? In the fat content, if there is toxins, that toxin will go to the baby, right? So this is the concept of biological magnification. Then we will move to very important concept from your preliminary exam perspective. It is biotic interaction. Biotic interaction. So how if two organisms are there, how they are going to interact among themselves. One second. Okay. All these things are done. Yes. Biotic interaction. Yes. Biotic interaction. What is biotic interaction? How two organisms interact. See, the first type of interaction, let's say, I'll write the type here, species 1, species 2. So the first type of interaction is mutualism. Mutualism. What is mutualism? Let's say there are two species in mutualism. Both the species will be benefited. What is the example? See, let's say this honeybee and flower. Honeybee is one species, flower is another species. So what this honeybee do? It goes and takes the nectar, its food from the flower. So honeybee is getting positive. Honeybee is having good effect. So in turn, what does this honeybee do? It will collect the pollen grains. Adar seeds bija iruttalla idralli flower alli. That will get stick to the legs of the honeybee. And that pollen grains, it will go and drop somewhere else. So there that plant will grow again. So the plant is also getting benefited. So this is mutualism. Andre ibru kudu benefit agta ide. Right? Then you have the next concept, commensalism. Commensalism alli there is one organism benefits. Commensalism, one organism benefits, another organism is unharmed. So the best example is cow dung. Cow dung and dung beetle. Andre sagni mele ula iruttalla. So it will take the food from the cow dung. So that dung beetle is benefited. But is the cow anyhow affected? No. Cow geno adrinda idagalla. So it is having no effect. This concept, one animal benefiting, another having no effect, is called as commensalism. Then you have amensalism. Amensalism alli one animal is affected in a wrong way. It is negative and other animal is not having any effect. What is amensalism? Amensalism alli the best example is tree. Let's say there is a big tree and there is a small plant. Right? So this big tree, the shade bandi plant mel beelutte. So what happens? This big tree will not have any effect. Right? It will not have any effect. Whereas this small plant will die. Why? Because it is not getting sunlight, because this tree is shading it. So the other part is affected. So this is amensalism. Then you have one more thing called competition. Competition idre both the organisms will affect. For example, let's say there is one fish and two people want to eat it. So tiger also want to eat the fish, lion also want to eat the fish. At the end, both of them won't get the fish, right? Some third animal will come and eat. because these two will be fighting for the fish, right? So both the organisms will be negatively impacted. That is what? That is competition. Then you have predation. Predationally, what is the best example? Let's say why always lion and tiger? Let's take the example of bear, right? Kardi. So bear, what will happen? It will kill some. Bear is a vegetarian or non-vegetarian? Huh? Vegetarian. I got confused here because in all the movies I have seen bear killing animals. So okay, no, not bear. Okay, let's take the example of crocodile. So what happens? Crocodile eats some zebra. So one poor zebra goes to drink water. The crocodile will catch the zebra and eat it, right? So for the zebra, it is a loss of life. Zebra will be affected negatively, whereas crocodile, it is full stomach. It need not eat for buffet meal. So it need not eat for 1 week, right? So the crocodile is having positive effect. This is called predation, right? Then you have parasitism. Parasitism is also similar. So parasitism is the best example. Your mosquitoes. So these mosquitoes, they come and drink your blood. So they are parasites. So the mosquito is getting full stomach of blood. It is getting good food. Whereas we are losing blood. And unfortunately, sometimes we will also get dengue or chikungunya. So that's why, so that is a parasitism, right? The concept of parasitism. So this biotic interaction is important. Mutualism, commensalism, parasitism, predation, competition and amensalism. All these things are very, very important. Okay. Bear is omnivorous. It's not vegetarian. It eats both veg and non-veg. It's a good thing. So we are clearing IAS exam, but we don't know whether bear is vegetarian or non-vegetarian. That's okay, it happens. So next we will move to biogeochemical cycle. This I have already discussed in our geography. Biogeochemical cycles means what? Bio means living things, geo means earth. The interaction between the living things and the earth via chemical mechanism. See, earth is here. Let's say this is earth. And let's say there is one plant here, right? So this is bio, this is geo. How they are interacting via chemical cycle. That is the biogeochemical cycle. So in the living world, so in the world we are living, there are two types of interaction. One is energy flow and nutrient circulation. Energy flows from one organism to another organism. Energy flow we just saw under the pyramid, ecological pyramids. Then nutrient recycling, right? So this under biogeochemical cycles, what happens? Energy flows from one organism to another organism. As the at the upper levels, there will be loss of energy, right? So this at what places animals are higher in huge numbers, at what places plants are in huge numbers. All these things are determined by the biogeochemical cycles. Illi one kade population jasti ide, other place population is less. Everything is determined by the biogeochemical cycles. So we have why we should study the biogeochemical cycles, Andre? Because see, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, all these things, they form 97% of the masses of our body. Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, all those things. That is why we should study this, right? Okay. So the nutrients, so whatever the nutrient we are having, that is actually always in cycle. So it is moving from one reservoir to another reservoir. We will look into that, right? So this concept is called nutrient cycling. Nutrient cycling, I'll show you the diagram. Where is, yes, this is nutrient cycling. So what is nutrient cycling? See, producers, algae, lichens and green plants, from that nutrition comes to consumers, that is animals. When the animals die, it goes to decomposers, that is your fungi and bacteria. And after decomposition, it goes into soil. Soil ali humus and minerals agutte. From soil, again water and mineral is taken by the producers. So this is nutrition. Nutrition is getting cycled. So this is the nutrition cycle, right? So the movement of nutrition from plants to animals, animals to earth, and back to the environment. So this is the whole concept of nutrition cycling. So in nutrition cycle, we will study various types of cycles. We have carbon cycle, nitrogen cycle, all these things. So there are various type of nutrient cycles. So we should know the characteristics of nutrient cycle. So some cycles are perfect, other cycles are imperfect. What is a perfect cycle? Andre illi let's say 100 calorie of energy ittu andre by the time let's not take in the terms of energy, let's take in some other term. Okay, illi let's say 100 kg of oxygen ittu andre by the time it comes back it should be 100 kg of oxygen only. That is a perfect cycle. But in madhyadalli ellaru oxygen hoytu andre that is a imperfect cycle, right? So the definition of perfect cycle is a perfect nutrient cycle where nutrients are replaced fast. Andre nutrition fast ag replace aagta idre, nutrition is getting replaced fast, then it is a perfect cycle. And so gaseous cycle, gaseous, oxygen, carbon dioxide, all these things, carbon, all these things are perfect cycles. Oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, all these things. Then you have sedimentary cycles. Sedimentary cycles are imperfect. Enagutte sedimentary cycle andre your phosphorus, all those things, elements. So what they do, they will not return to the reservoir. They will go and get stuck in some in rock or some soil. So sedimentary cycles are imperfect, right? So based on the we have two types of cycles. One is a gaseous cycle, another is a sedimentary cycle. So how do we differentiate between gaseous cycle and sedimentary cycle? See, gas, whatever the element we are talking about, whether it is oxygen or nitrogen, where it is going and getting stored, where is the source of this gas? So based on that, we are determining whether, so oxygen gets stored in the atmosphere, so it is a gaseous cycle. So whereas if you take the phosphorus, where does it go and get stored? In the rocks. So it's a sedimentary cycle, right? So the first gaseous cycle we will talk about is water cycle. I have already discussed water cycle in the geography section, right? So from the ocean there will be evaporation, from evaporation there is condensation, from condensation there is precipitation, then there is flow, and also there is transpiration. What is transpiration? Loss of water from the leaves of the plants. So this is the water cycle. So water cycle are the reservoirs. The atmosphere is the where all you find water, atmosphere, ocean, lakes, all these acts as the reservoir for water. I have discussed it in geography, that is why I am not taking it up. Next you have carbon cycle, that also I have discussed in geography. Carbon you have first we should understand what is the importance of carbon. See, our body is made of carbon, right? The food you eat is made of carbon. So even the vehicles you drive emit carbon dioxide, right? So we are giving out carbon dioxide every moment. So even your Coca-Cola, when you open it, the fume, what is it? Carbon dioxide, right? So carbon is very, very important. So even the food you go eat, it will go and get converted into carbohydrates. Carbohydrates in the energy barodu. It's not the protein and nutrients. It's the carbs. That is why it's called carbs. Carbohydrates, right? So okay, so that is why we have to so what is the source of carbon? So carbon, the source is also atmosphere, where an atmosphere else in the form of carbon dioxide. So from carbon dioxide, this carbon dioxide is taken up by the plants in the form of photosynthesis. Carbon dioxide, plants will utilize it into photosynthesis. These plants is eaten by the animals. So when the animal dies, the carbon will be returned to earth. So from the earth, and also when the animal respiration, carbon dioxide is returned to atmosphere, or when the animal dies, the carbon will go to the earth. So from earth back to the earth, the carbon will go, right? So this is the carbon cycle. So it is the exchange of carbon between atmosphere and organisms, living organisms. So yaudru mulka you have decomposition as well as respiration. Via decomposition and respiration, you will find the carbon cycle. So it's a short term cycle, and it won't take much time for the carbon to return to the atmosphere. It's a very short term cycle. So but sometimes what happens, this carbon will go into long term cycle also. Long term, what is long term cycle? Andre, from the atmosphere, the carbon will get stored in a place for a very long time. That is a long term cycle. But from the atmosphere, it comes to a living organism and goes back to the atmosphere very quickly. It's a short term cycle, right? If the carbon dioxide gets saved in the ocean bed alli underground alli hogi carbon save adre, it enters a long term cycle. The best example is fossil fuels. Where petroleum all has carbon alloy. What is it? It's a long term cycle. So million years back, the carbon would have entered into the earth. So that's a long term cycle. Next, we will, so this is all about the carbon cycle. I've discussed it already under geography. That's why I'm giving the gist. Next, we will talk about the nitrogen cycle. So nitrogen, where is the reservoir? It is again the atmosphere. Nitrogen also comes from the atmosphere. Why is nitrogen important? So your protein, amino acids. So the body needs protein. Where does it come from? Protein, amino acid, basic building block is the nitrogen. So amino acids and proteins, you eat you eat chicken, what do you get? Protein. So protein, the basic block, it is nitrogen. Nitrogen is the building block, right? So, but unfortunately, nitrogen cannot be used directly. Oxygen, so here you have a lot of nitrogen. Can we use the nitrogen directly? It has to be fixed. So there are many types of fixing. One, though, some organisms, some microorganisms. So best example is in the leguminous plants, andre ಈ pulses ಇರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ ಕಾಳುಗಳು, ಆ ಕಾಳದ plant root ಅಲ್ಲಿ there will be one bacteria called rhizobium. What does it do? It takes the nitrogen and converts it into usable nitrogen and gives it to the leguminous plant, right? That is one process. And also humans can also convert by industry. Industry captures the nitrogen, right? And also by thunder and lightning. Sidilu baditadallo nitrogen gets fixed, right? So I told you, some bacteria are able to convert the nitrogen, atmospheric nitrogen. Those bacteria are called nitrifying bacteria. They are called nitrifying bacteria. The example is rhizobium, blue-green algae, all those things, right? So then from nitrogen, once it is fixed, it will get converted into ammonium. Atmospheric nitrogen fix agida takshana it will get converted into ammonium. So this ammonium will later be converted into nitrates and nitrites. So nitrates and nitrites. So which organism converts the ammonium into nitrate? It is one bacteria called Nitrosomonas bacteria. So nitrogen in the atmospheric nitrogen to ammonia by the microorganism, right? Nitrifying bacteria. From ammonia to nitrate, you have Nitrosomonas bacteria. Very important. It will be asked under your science and technology, right? So Nitrosomonas bacteria, and this it converts it into nitrite. So this nitrate, ammonia to nitrate, Nitrosomonas. From nitrite to nitrate, it is what? It is the Nitrobacter bacteria. Nitrobacter bacteria will convert it into the nitrate, right? So these nitrates can be these nitrates will be taken up by the plants and animals. It can be used by the plants and animals. Later on, once the plant dies or plants do excretion, right? By that, this nitrogen will go back to atmosphere. So from atmospheric nitrogen to ammonium, ammonium to nitrate, nitrate to nitrate, and from nitrate to goes to the human or a plant body. From plant body excretion, it goes to the atmosphere again. This is the whole concept of the nitrogen cycle, right? So this nitrate iruttala, nitrate or nitrite, so that will be converted back into the nitrogen gas by one more bacteria called Pseudomonas. You should know Pseudomonas. You should know the Nitrosomonas bacteria. You should know Nitrobacter bacteria. Then you should know the Pseudomonas bacteria, right? All these bacteria are very, very important. So this is all about the nitrogen cycle. Next, we will move to the sedimentary cycle. What do you mean by sedimentary cycle? What is sediment in first place? See, sediment is a rock, sedimentary rock, right? So rocks, what do they have? They have minerals, right? So whatever the minerals we want, whether it is iron, whether it is your phosphorus, magnesium, you name the mineral, it comes from the rocks, right? So these rocks acts as the source of the minerals, right? From the rocks, sedimentary cycle andrenu, rocks are the source. From the rocks, the mineral comes out. It is used by the animals and plants, and from it goes back to the rocks. So we have the phosphorus cycle, calcium cycle, magnesium cycle. All these are the sedimentary cycles. All these are the sedimentary cycles. First, we will talk about the phosphorus cycle. What is phosphorus cycle? So phosphorus cycle, where is this phosphorus? You will find it in the aquatic ecosystem. So phosphorus, where do we find it? We will find it in the phosphate rocks. Rocks which contains phosphate, those are the, from there we will find the phosphorus. So adana, if we go do mining for that rock, or if it undergoes erosion by naturally, then the phosphorus is released into the atmosphere. So it will, once it flows to the lake it will be used by the fishes, right? So from the rocks it will go to the lakes. Lake it will be taken up by the fishes and other things, and later on it will be taken up by animals on the earth who eats the fish, and from there it goes back to the, once the animal dies, it goes back to the earth again, right? This is the whole cycle. I will show you the diagram of phosphorus cycle. Because without diagram, it is, you have seen the diagram of carbon cycle, nitrogen cycle, water cycle. So it's important to see the diagram of phosphorus cycle. Okay, let it load. So this phosphorus, you will find it in the earth's crust. Earthally irutte, that is in the rocks, right? So this diagram is not good. See, in the underground there is phosphate rocks. From phosphate rocks, by leaching and erosion, it goes to the water, right? And it will be absorbed by the plants. And later on, from plants, it goes to the animals. And when the animal dies, it goes back to the earth. That is one cycle. Then you have phosphate fertilizer directly from, we will use the phosphorus in the fertilizers. The fertilizer will also go to the water, and from underwater it will be saved in the underwater rocks. And when these rocks come above by geological uplift, what is geological uplift? When the rocks rise up, so then it will be later on, it will come above and it will be weathering, and it will break and it will again go back to the earth. This is the phosphorus cycle. Then you have the sulfur cycle. Sulfur cycle is there. So sulfur cycle, where is the sulfur reservoir of sulfur? It is in the soil. So where all in the soil? In the coal alli, oil alli, everywhere you will find the sulfur. So it's a inorganic deposit. It's not organic. Sulfur is not organic. Carbon is organic. Oxygen is organic. Whereas sulfur is not organic. It's a inorganic deposit. So it is released by weathering of rocks. When the rocks break, it will enter the atmosphere. Sulfur will enter the atmosphere. And also by decomposition of organic matter. When the organic matter decomposes. So rocks only sulfur will be there. When the rock breaks, the sulfur will enter the atmosphere. I mean, it will enter the cycle, sulfur cycle. Then you have organisms, living organisms. We will be also having lot of sulfur in our body. When the body dies, the sulfur will get into the cycle, right? Okay. So how does the sulfur enter the cycle? Basically, volcanic eruptions. By volcanoes it enters. By combustion of fossil fuels. And then you burn the petrol. By that petrol, the sulfur enters the atmosphere, right? So and it will go and get saved in the atmosphere as sulfur dioxide. This sulfur dioxide mixes with the rainwater and causes acid rain. Acid rain, right? So then that is one cycle. Then you have another cycle where this sulfates is taken up by the plants. Plants take up the sulfates, and that sulfates by plants enters the animals, right? So animals, what they do by excretion, the sulfates is going back to the earth, right? So this is another cycle. So this is all about the sulfur cycle. Calcium cycle is not very important. Next we will move to the concept of ecological succession. Very, very important. What is ecological succession? See, first let's say earth was there. Earth was a barren piece of land. There was nothing on earth. So how come we find so many plants and animals now? What there will be some microorganism will be born. That microorganism by respiration, by having food, by excretion, by reproduction, it does lot of change to the system. Andre alliro soil ge it will undergo lot of system. That is a lot of changes. That is primary succession. Andre barren land mele first level of living organism comes. That is a primary succession. So this living organism, it carries out lot of changes on the surface of the earth. Once it carries out lot of changes on the surface of the earth, grass, plants, all these small things will grow. So the entire system will change. So then bigger animals will come because there will be grass, there will be plants. So that is secondary succession. Primary succession from barren to small plants. From that big trees and all comes. That is secondary succession, right? So it's what is the definition of ecological succession is? It is a process of directional change in vegetation. Vegetation changes in one particular direction from nothing to everything. That is a ecological succession. So it is a series of communities, plant and animal communities replacing one another. First one community, later on some other community comes, a bigger community. That is a ecological succession. How long does the ecological succession takes place? Until there is stability. So there should be stability. Let's say a barren land is there, some grass will grow after, some plants will come, but even these plants, there is no, this plant is not adjusted to this place. So this plant also goes, some based on this plant, some other big tree will come. But this tree is stable, it gets adjusted to the system. Till then succession will take place, until when the stability is established, right? So when stability is established in the ecological succession, it is called as climax community. Climax community. So the first plant or the first animal which comes to a barren land, it is called as pioneer community. Pioneer, first one. Lastly, which establishes stability, that is called as climax community. Climax community. In between the pioneer community and the climax community, madhyadalella irtavalla, it is called intermediary communities or successional stages. So these are called SEERs, S-E-R-E-S, very important, science and technology they are going to ask. So these middle communities are called as SEERs, S-E-R-E-S, right? Okay. So because of this, what is the use of this ecological succession? So it increases the diversity. First we had just one grass, later on so many trees and plants. So it increases the diversity. So first we will look at the primary succession. Primary succession, what do you mean by that? So it is when first pioneer species, and on a barren land, pioneer species come and occupy the land. That is the primary succession. So what are the primary organisms which comes? It might be small microbes, some very small organisms, lichens, mosses, all these things, and they alter the habitat. They come there, they won't just keep quiet, they will do some things because of which that entire landscape will change, that area will change, right? So when the area changes, that place will be suitable for many bigger organisms. So then you might ask me, why not the bigger organism directly come and take that place? Because there is no suitable habitat. Only when the smaller pioneer community goes and creates some change, then based on that change, bigger community comes. Until that change doesn't happen, bigger community won't come. Let's say if there is no grass at all, how will a rabbit come there on a barren land? So there should be first grass, right? Okay. So this organic, this primary community, pioneer community releases lot of organic acids and all. It changes the soil, it changes the landscape, everything is there, right? So then later on we will move to the secondary succession. Secondary succession, the preceding primary community will be replaced by some other secondary community, right? So the primary community first that will be disturbance because of temperature, precipitation or so many changes, because of which the secondary community will come, right? Secondary community is going to come. Okay, so only first primary community will get, there will be destruction of the primary community. Later on, secondary community is going to come. So why primary community will be destroyed? It might be because of deforestation, or it might be because of overgrazing, all those things, right? So later on, some big trees, big plants, everything will grow in that place, and there will be proper forest. From grassland, it will get converted into a proper forest. So then you might ask me, what is the difference between primary succession and secondary succession? So primary succession happens on a bare land, whereas secondary succession happens on a properly established land. Proper grass or something should be there, right? Properly developed soil should be there. So this is about primary and secondary succession. Then you have very important concept of autogenic and allogenic succession. What is autogenic succession? What is allogenic succession? So when succession, see, let's say this is a community. This box is a community. There are some grasses, some small insects and all. If the succession, andre, from one community to next community, the change is done by the animals or plants within this community itself, then it is called autogenic succession. Whereas if some outside organism comes and creates the change, then it is called allogenic succession by outside forces. There is one more concept called autotropic and heterotropic succession. What is heterotropic succession? So when green plants undergo a change. When green plants undergo a change, then it is a autotropic succession. Andre, from plants, one plant community to another plant community gets established, then it is a autotropic succession. But heterotropic succession, from green plants to some animals, change from green plants to animals, it is called as heterotropic succession, right? So where does this succession or climax community gets established? Andre, it gets established in the middle of a continent. Andre, see, it gets established everywhere, but majorly it will be established in the middle of a continent. Why in the middle of a continent? See, let's say this is a big continent. In the middle, what happens? In the middle of it, see, from organisms from here also will come here. From this place also it's going to come. From this place also it's going to come. Here also it will come. So here you have multiple variety. Multiple variety iradrinda there is a succession. From primary to secondary succession will happen faster in the middle of a continent, because from everywhere there is change happening. But in the borders of the continent, the succession will be very slower. So this is all about the ecological succession. Next, we will move to the chapter on terrestrial ecosystem. Terrestrial ecosystem. We have multiple. So terrestrial ecosystem, what do you mean by that? Ecosystem on the land is called as terrestrial ecosystem. So all the forests, all the grasslands, all the deserts, all these things are grasslands, forests, deserts, all these things are what? Terrestrial ecosystem. Right? So on the terrestrial ecosystem, there are various types of ecosystem. What is the changing factor between one ecosystem to other ecosystem? It is the climate. Climate and precipitation varies from one ecosystem to other ecosystem. So the first type of ecosystem we will talk about is tundra ecosystem. So it comes under your geography only, so it is very important. So what is tundra ecosystem? Here you have, tundra means barren land. Tundra, it is barren land. See, in tundra ecosystem the conditions are very severe. Andre, tundra there will be lot of cold. Temperature will be in -30, -40 degrees Celsius. There will be lot of snow. You won't find any soil. Right? Also, plants are less. Plants are less, animals are less, even humans are less. Right? That is a tundra ecosystem. So it can be divided into two things. One is the Arctic tundra and another thing is alpine tundra. So what is Arctic tundra? So it is below polar ice cap and above tree line in northern hemisphere. What is below polar ice cap? So the polar line, below the polar line, polar ice cap irutalla, below that and above tree line. So what is a tree line? It will be asked in your exam, science and technology. What is a tree line? See, if you take a mountain, up to what height you will find the trees? That is a tree line. Above that line you won't find any trees. There will be only snow. So on the mountain, it is always in the mountain. So below polar ice cap kelage matte tree line mele, whatever is there, it is the Arctic tundra. Where do you find Arctic tundra? You will find it in Alaska, Russia, right? Alaska, which country? Alaska belongs to which country? USA. Alaska, Russia, Canada, all these areas you will find the Arctic tundra. Then you have alpine tundra. Alpine tundra, it is in high altitude. See, it is not confined to the polar. You can find alpine tundra even in Himalayas, but at very high altitudes, at very great heights, right? So what is the flora and fauna in these regions? What types of plants and animals you will find? You have seen Ice Age movie, you have seen so many movies, right? So you will find penguins, you will find polar bear, right? Also you will find snow leopards, right? What else? Seals you will find. So many. What are the types of plants you will find? Your willow, cricket bat. It is found in this tundra type of climate only. Willow you will find. You have some types of nuts, willows, lichens, birch, all these things you are going to find. So the plants will be having very long life, whereas animals, see, have you seen the animals in the tundra region? They are very huge body. But you see their ears having very small ears. Why? Why is that huge body? Why small ears? See, they need heat for sustenance. If the see, ears, nose, all these are the places from where heat will get out. So that's why they have very small ears. Whereas body is huge because they will conserve, it will conserve the heat. Even if you take the penguin alive, below the penguin body, you have one layer of fat called blubber. So very one proper layer of fat is there. Because why? Even polar bear has one layer of fur. Why? They have to conserve the heat, right? So this is all about the tundra ecosystem. Then you will talk about the forest ecosystem. What do you mean by forest ecosystem? Wherever you have forest, that is a forest ecosystem, right? In the forest ecosystem, you will find evergreen forest, deciduous forest, so many types of forests are there. Coniferous, tropical forest, temperate forest, all these things. So forest ecosystem only we have to discuss many types of forest. So the first type of forest is coniferous forest. See, please remember this one thing. Boreal forest is also called as coniferous forest. It will be directly asked in your exam, even in your PSI, geography. Boreal coniferous forest is called as boreal forest. BOREAL. How does a coniferous forest looks like? It's better to show with the diagram. See, this is how a coniferous forest looks like. See, very beautiful. Can you see the images? This is how a coniferous forest will look like. Christmas tree type of. Yeah, so it is, these forests you will find in the cold regions, right? So these coniferous forests. So will they dry? They are not going to dry. They are evergreen forests. So what are the, can you name some coniferous trees? Don't say Christmas tree. It is pine trees, spruce, fir, all those things, right? So on what type of soil coniferous forests are grown? So it grows on a podzolic soil. So this, see, wherever cold climate is there, the soil won't be good. The fertility of soil won't be good there. Wherever cold climate is there, you should remember this, right? Okay, so the soils are acidic. Soils in the cold region, they are acidic and they don't have any minerals, right? Okay, then we will move to the next type of forest, the deciduous forest. So you will find so temperate deciduous forest. Where is the temperate zone? It is between 30 degree north to 60 degree north, 30 degrees south to 60 degrees south, right? Temperate forest, you have broadleaf deciduous forest. See, whenever it comes to deciduous, what is the speciality of deciduous? Leaves. Every summer they are going to shed their leaves. So the soil in the deciduous forest is very deep and fertile. It is a good soil, right? Then we have temperate evergreen forest. Not the tropical evergreen forest, but the temperate evergreen forest. So what is the temperate evergreen forest? Where do you find it? You will find it in the Mediterranean region. Where is Mediterranean region? Mediterranean Sea, right? So that is one type of forest. Then you have temperate rain forest. Temperate rain forest. When it is a rain forest, it means there is lot of rain there. But it is in the temperate region, right? Okay. Then you have tropical rain forest. Tropical rain forest where? Around the equator. So how much rainfall? More than 200 centimeter of rainfall. What is the speciality? From morning to afternoon, there is lot of sunshine. From afternoon, it will start raining. Every day you will find rain there, right? So that is the tropical evergreen forest. Your Amazon region, Amazon forest, Congo forest, all these regions you will find the. Where do we have evergreen forest in India? Western Ghats and Northeast India, right? Okay, here temperature and humidity both remains high. In the tropical forest, temperature and humidity is high. Okay, so here you will find, so here the soil here also will be very thick layer of soil will be there, whereas tundra region soil will be very thin, right? Then you have tropical seasonal forest, monsoon forests. Indian forests are tropical seasonal forest. Then you have one more forest, subtropical rainforest, not very important. So next we will talk about Indian forest types. There are actually 16 type of forests. None of them are important. Andre, you should just know what are the types of forests in India. Would they ask directly whether what is the type of forest? No, not probable. So there is 16 types of forest classified by this Champion and Seth. Anta, these two people classify the forest types into 16 types. What are they? The first type is tropical wet evergreen forest. Obviously, you will find it in Western Ghats and Andaman Nicobar, right? Okay. Then you have tropical semi-evergreen forest. That also you will find in the same region. Tropical semi-evergreen forest. Later on, tropical moist deciduous forest. It's a deciduous forest, whereas it is moist, right? So, this type of forest you will find everywhere in India. Tropical moist deciduous forest. Then you have littoral and swamp forest. What is littoral and swamp? I have told you, see what is littoral and swamp. See where the land meets the water, where there is the intermixing zone is a swamp region. So that is a littoral and swamp forest. Where do you find all the delta areas, Ganga Delta, Brahmaputra Delta, all these areas you will find the littoral and swamp forest. Then you have tropical dry deciduous forest. Similar to so where there is rain in the deciduous area, then it is moist. Where there is no rain, it is tropical dry deciduous forest, right? This you will find in the North India, Madhya Pradesh, all those regions. Then you have tropical thorn forest. Thorn andre you will find this in the Gujarat, Maharashtra region, right? Then you have tropical dry evergreen forest, subtropical broad-leaved forest, subtropical pine forest. Whenever pine, if you hear the pine, just remember it is in the on the mountains, right? Okay. Then subtropical dry evergreen forest, humanly impossible to remember all this. Then you have montane wet temperate forest. Montane. Whenever you come across the term montane, it is on mountain. Remember that, right? Then you have Himalayan moist temperate forest. Then you have Himalayan dry temperate, subalpine forest. Whenever you come across subalpine, the term alpine, it is cold region. In the cold region, subalpine forest, moist alpine scrub, dry alpine scrub. Scrub forest, we will see how does a scrub forest. Even I am curious. I have seen it. I am going to show you how does a scrub forest looks like. See, geography and environment without diagrams, it's not funny to read. Scrub forest. What is it? Showing. So this is how a scrub forest looks like. Scrub forest. This is how it looks like. Similar to deciduous, I believe. Okay. Similar to deciduous. Okay. So this is all about the forest types in India. Then we will move to the concept of deforestation. So is deforestation happening? So how much percentage of India do we have? So you have India State of Forest Report. 2021 is the latest report. What is the amount of forest cover in India? I have told you in earlier class. 24%. 24% is the amount of forest cover in India. We have lot of deforestation happening. Why we are doing deforestation? We need land for agriculture, we need land for industry, we need land for mining, say building houses, we need timber for construction. for furniture, ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಮನೆಗೂ rosewood ಬಾಕ್ಲೇಬೇಕು, sandalwood ಬೇಕು. So because of which there is lot of deforestation. So what are the causes? First is shifting. Do you know this concept of shifting cultivation? What is shifting cultivation? What is shifting? See, this is actually practiced by the tribal people. What they do is, they will go to an area. They will go to an area, burn the area, and grow, burn the trees there, grow crops for some 2-3 years, and later on abandon the area. Abandon the area. What is it called in India? Shifting. So there are, see, these names are very, very important. Well, the shifting cultivation names are very, very important. So this shifting cultivation, it is called as in Vietnam. So do you know, got to know what is shifting cultivation? It is also called slash and burn technique. So it is called as Ray in Vietnam. It is called as Tavi in Madagascar. It is called Masole in Congo. Fang in African country. So I am going to tell you what are important. Ray is important. Vietnam, they are going to ask. Logan in Western Africa, not important. Comail in Mexico, not important. Milpa is important. Central America, it is called as Milpa, important. Then you have Echelin in Guadeloupe, not important. Milia, not in Conuco, not important. Roca, Chetmini, not in Tongia. In Myanmar, it is called as Tongia, important. Myanmar, it is called as Tongia. And Sri Lanka, it is called as Chena, important. Sri Lanka, it is called as Chena. Indonesia, it is called as Ladang. Indonesia, it is called as Ladang. Thailand, it is called as Tamrai. Tamrai, important. Java, it is, and Indonesia, it is called as Huma. So, nammal en karitivi in India, Northeast India, we called it as Jum. Jum cultivation, Jumi. Madhya Pradesh, it is called as Vevar or Dahiyar. But Madhya Pradesh, it is also called as Deepa. South states, it is called as Zara or Erka. Rajasthan, it is called as Batra. Andhra Pradesh, Podu. Kerala, it is called as Kumri. Odisha, Kaman, Vingya and Davi. So all these you just remember Jum in India, but all those things in. So it is given in under in your NCERT. Okay, so this is about the Jumming cultivation, that is responsible for destruction of forest. Then developmental projects, all these dams, roads, they are causing deforestation, right? So then you have fuel requirement. So you want to cook the food, go and get some wood from the forest, cook the food. Then you have raw materials. Raw materials for what? For furniture, for paper, right? So all these things will destroy the forest, right? So what is the importance of forest? Should I tell the importance? Not required. It's very childish, because since the childhood you will be taught what is the importance of forest, right? So then this is all about the forest ecosystem. Next we will move to the grassland ecosystem. So what is grassland? Where there is grass, lot of grass. So it is called as prairie, steppe, right? So that is a grassland ecosystem. It can be either two forms. One it is called as a steppe, and in another areas it is called savanna grassland. So where it is called steppe, where it is savanna andre, so throughout the year if there is grass, it is called as savanna. So only in rainy season if there is grass, it is called steppe. That is the difference. I'll check it out again. So grassland. So where do we find the grassland? What is the ideal condition? The rainfall should be between 25 centimeter and 75 centimeter. What is the rainfall for evergreen forest? 200. Whereas for grassland, 25 to 75 centimeter. Right? So India dalli you will find it in the Himalayan region. So steppe and savanna. So what is savanna? ಸ್ಟೆಪ್ಪಿಯಲ್ಲಿ wet season, rain al matra ಹುಲ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. During the rainy season you will get the grass, it is steppe. Throughout the year you have grass, it is savanna, right? So both of them look similar. Okay, so both of these things will have some sort of desert side of conditions. It has both forest type of conditions and it has both the desert type of condition. Intermediary conditions it will have, right? Okay, so what are the types of grassland? What are the types of grassland? There are 6 types majorly, but 4 are very important. 6 types of grassland, 4 of which are very important. So the first type is semi-arid grassland. Semi-arid, what is arid? Arid which is hot and dry, where there is no vegetation. Semi-arid is something in between. So where do you find it? Gujarat, Rajasthan, all these areas, right? Then you have dry subhumid zone. Dry subhumid, it is dry, it is having average humidity. That is one thing. Where do you find it? In peninsular India. So that is one type of grassland. Then you have moist subhumid zone. Where do you find it? Ganga plain. Grasslands in the Ganga plain. Then you have humid mountain region. Humid mountain region, all the mountain regions you will find these type of grassland, right? Okay. So what is the importance of grassland? Is grassland of any importance? Yes. So you have sheep and cow. What will they eat? Grasses only. Then these grasses can be decomposed into fuel, right? So all these are the importance of the grassland, right? So because what is the threat to grassland? What is the threat to grassland? Conversion of grassland into some other area is the first threat. That is one thing. Not only that, grazing. Too much animals eating up all the grass. So these animals are not satisfied at all. They want to eat more and more grass. So they eat all the grass. What happens? When the grass is removed, you will find the soil. Only bare soil will be left. So when rain comes, the soil will get eroded. Soil erosion will happen. So it is bad. So overgrazing is bad, right? That is one threat. Then you have fire threat. Fire will also destroy the grassland, right? Fire is also dangerous. So these are the threats for the grasslands in India, not only in India, everywhere. Then we will move towards desert ecosystem. Desert. So what is the desert in India? Marustali, also called as Thar Desert, west of Aravalli region. So what is the rainfall for a desert to be there? So less than 25 centimeter of rainfall. Grassland 25 to 75. If there is less than 25 centimeter of rainfall, it is desert ecosystem. Okay. So where do you find? You will find it in the mid-latitude region. Across the world, deserts are always found in the mid-latitude. Mid-latitude andre from 15 degree to 45 degree, you will find the deserts. Why in those areas? It is because of the pressure belts which we discussed. See, okay, earth diagram is here. So equatorally, whether it is low pressure or high pressure, equator, low pressure. So there is a tropical low, but around 30 degree you have subtropical high. Subtropical high andre air will be coming down. High pressure irada air will be coming from upper atmosphere to lower atmosphere. The air will be subsidizing. So rainfall agadike, what is the condition? So evaporation should be there and air should rise up for the condensation to take place. When air is moving the different direction, how will rainfall happen? So that is why in the desert region there is no rainfall, because air is subsiding air is there, right? Okay. So that is one thing. And also the other condition for a desert to develop is when the deserts lie in the rain shadow area. Andre, there will be a mountain. There is a mountain. So rain bearing wind is coming from this direction. So this mountain will obstruct the wind. It will go up and cause rainfall here only. Right? So this side there is no rain. So here desert might develop on the rain shadow area. Right? Okay. Okay. So there are two types of desert. One is a hot desert, another is a cold desert. So cold desert and hot desert you will find, right? So in the desert you will find very less rainfall, but if you, in the Thar desert you have Indira Gandhi Canal. So that has made the vegetation possible, growing of plants possible because of the Indira Gandhi Canal, right? Okay. So what are the types of plants you will find here in the desert? You will find shrubs, shrub type of plants. So then these leaves of these plants are very small in size in the desert. Why leaves are small in size? In order to reduce the transpiration ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗೋದ್ರೆ what will happen? It will lose all the water. To reduce the transpiration, leaves are very small in size. They contain chlorophyll and roots are actually widespread. Roots won't be confined to one area. It is actually spread wide. So why roots are spread wide? Because it needs to take water from all possible areas, right? Okay. So, and what are the animals? So what are the characteristics of animals? You have these lizards, snakes, camels, all these areas. Yes, lizards, snakes, all these things you will find in the desert. So the animals in the deserts, they are fast runners and they are nocturnal. Nocturnal means, what's a nocturnal animal? Nocturnal. So those animals which are active in the night are called as nocturnal animals, right? So these animals, urine. So whatever the excretion they do, it is concentrated. And they will excrete very less water because the water is needed. Even the urine they give out, excrete is a concentrated urine. So because water is very needed, right? So they have very long legs. Why long legs for the animals in this region? See, if the legs are short, the sand heat will affect the body. That's why they have very long legs. Then you have, what are the animals? Lizards, camel, all those things you will find. So, Indian desert also called as a Thar desert. It's a very hot region. Here you will find excessive drought. Lot of drought is there in this region, right? So, the monsoon rains won't reach this region. Monsoon rains won't come to the desert region. So, here what happens during the summer, the heat will be very high. Whereas, winter, the temperature will go below freezing point. You might be amazed. Even in desert, the temperature will go below freezing point during the winter, right? Okay. So, this is all about the temperature. Then what is the flora? Flora, andre plants. They are rain dependent plants. Whenever rain is there, there will be plants. So, there are two types of plants in the desert. What are the two types? You have ephemerals and rain perennials. What are ephemeral plants? See, their seed will be inside, root will be inside. Whenever water is available, these plants will grow. Or they will shed the leaves and just the seed remains. Though these are called those are called as the ephemerals. Whenever rain is available, then these plants will grow, ephemeral plants. Then you have rain perennials. Rain perennials, they have, whenever rain comes, these plants will grow, but otherwise they will remain underground. They will just remain underground, right? So ephemerals, they die as soon as the rain stops. Rain perennials, they won't die, they will remain underground, right? So these are the two types of plants in the desert ecosystem, right? So then these plants are adapted to xerophytic adaptation. The plants in the desert, you will find xerophytic adaptation. What is xerophytic adaptation? They are adapted to very less rain, very less rainfall. That is a xerophytic adaptation. So what are the animals you find? You will find Great Indian bustard, you will find flamingos, you will also find blackbuck. Why is blackbuck famous? Salman Khan killed blackbuck, no. That's why the case was there. So, blackbuck you will find in the desert. So, this is about the hot desert. Then you have cold desert. Where do you find the cold desert in India? Ladakh region. I've told Leh Ladakh. I've told you Rajnikant movie, Three Idiots movie. Everything I've given the example. Right? You will find it in the Leh Ladakh region. So there the rain won't reach because you don't find rain in the Ladakh region. So what are the conditions there? So the temperature is always below 0 degree. There is arid climate. Arid andre very dry atmosphere. There is no moisture in the atmosphere. So you might be wondering, it's a cold region, how it can be arid? Even though it is cold, there is no water in the atmosphere, right? That is the thing. The soil, what is the soil type? You have sandy to sandy loam type of soil. Soil content, see wherever cold region is there, soil will have very poor what? Organic content. Organic content will be very less, right? So soil also, when organic content less idre, it will not retain water. All the water will be given away, will be eroded. Okay. So what are the types of animals you will find in the Ladakh region? So you will find Tibetan wolf, wild dog, Asiatic ibex. You have snow leopard. Snow leopard is there. All these things, right? What are the plants you will find in the desert, cold desert of Ladakh? Junipers, rhododendron, willow, all these things you will find. Oak, pine, deodar, birch, all these things. Okay, so this is about the cold desert. Next, we will talk about desertification. What do you mean by desertification? See, fertile soil becoming infertile, the degradation of soil getting degraded or going less quality, losing its fertility is called as a desertification, right? So once soil loses fertility, it will become what? Desert-like soil. That is why it is called desertification. So our Sadhguru has started this Save Soil campaign, right? Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev, he is conducting a some 51 country or how many countries road trip is doing. So he is coming from Europe, Asia, so many continents he is covering on a bike ride. Why? So he wants to conserve the soil. Why? Soil is getting degraded. Soil is getting desertified. So that is why Sadhguru is behind the soil now. It's good actually because how many of us know that soil is important? We walk on it, we eat from it, right? We drink water from the soil. So do you know that the moisture in the soil is greater than even the lakes, rivers and the atmosphere combined together? Soil and water idiyalla, it is more than the atmosphere water, more than the lakes, more than the rivers. So soil moisture is important, but soil is the most misused, right? Why soil? Because is getting exploited, because population is increasing. We are releasing the chemicals, over fertilizers, soil erosion, all these things we are witnessing. So in India, we have prepared one atlas called as Desertification and Land Degradation Atlas. According to this atlas, 32% of India's area has degraded. 100 acre idre 32% has degraded according to the land degradation and desertification atlas of India. 32% has degraded. So what is the measure? So you know 1992 one summit happened. What summit? Rio de Janeiro, Rio summit, Earth summit. So there we signed two agreements. One is UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, and Convention on Biodiversity. In the same summit, under the same summit, one more agreement we signed, one more convention, that is a Convention on Desertification. But this convention was signed in 1994, 2 years later. So we have United Nations Convention to combat desertification, that is there. So how do we combat the desertification? How do we protect the soil? So one is stop using chemical fertilizers, go for organic farming. Then you have Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sincha Yojana, Paramparagat Krishi Sincha Vikas Yojana, right? So we should also support Sadhguru's campaign. Then you have National Afforestation Program, National Mission for Green India. So many things are there, so many programs are there. Then you have afforestation also we should support. So when it comes to afforestation, please remember one fund is there called Campa Fund. Campa Fund. What is Campa Fund? It is a fund for afforestation, promoting afforestation. So the full form I have forgotten. I'll just, it is okay. Where is the full form? Compensatory Afforestation Fund. Compensatory Afforestation Fund. Compensatory Afforestation Fund Management and Planning Authority. Right? Campa Fund, it is used for the afforestation. It is in India. When it comes to world arena for afforestation, we have two programs under the international organizations. So the programs are RED and RED Plus. RED and RED Plus. Also you have the International Tropical Timber Association. All these programs are there. So next we will talk about the recent Indian State of Forest Report. Indian State of Forest Report, ISFR. Which organization releases this report? It will be asked in your exams. Forest Survey of India. Forest Survey of India under Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. This organization releases this report once in 2 years. Once in 2 years. Right? Okay. So, they say that 24% of the India is having forest. Which is the state which is having highest number of forest? Madhya Pradesh. Madhya Pradesh is having the highest forest cover in India. But when it comes to percentage of the state, it is Mizoram. Mizoram is having the highest percentage. When it comes to union territories, Lakshadweep. Is it Lakshadweep? Yes, it is Lakshadweep. Okay. So this is across the world. If we compare the world, India is having the 10th highest forest cover. 10th highest forest cover, right? So also we are working towards increasing the forest cover. So this is the whole concept about terrestrial ecosystem. Next we will move towards the aquatic ecosystem. Aquatic ecosystem is where all you will find. Aquatic means you will find in water only. So you will find it in fresh water. You will find it in brackish water, sea water. See, fresh water andre which we drink. right? Sea water is which is salty. So fresh water alli the salt content is less than 5 parts per trillion, 5 ppt salt content. Brackish water, it is more than 35 ppt of salt. I mean, sorry, in ocean water. Brackish water, it is in between 0 to 35, right? That is a brackish water. So these are the three things. So first, coming to the aquatic ecosystem, we should discuss what are the aquatic organisms. So it will be asked into your geography also, right? So these aquatic organisms, we decide based on the zone, in which zone they will occur, right? So the first type of organism is the Newton, also called, not Newton, Newton. So if you look at some plants, they will be floating on the water surface. At the air and water interface, they will be floating. So those plants which float on the water are called as Newton, Neuston, right? So they will be at the air-water interface. Next, you have one more plant, one more type of plant called periphyton. What is periphyton? See, Newtonally, the roots won't be attached to the ground, whereas in periphyton, the roots will be attached to the ground, right? They are rooted plants. They are rooted plants. Then you have plankton. So plankton andre they are microscopic plants like algae. Plankton andre they are very small, very small, and they are microscopic plants like algae. It's better to show the diagram because without diagram, this is showing plant. Look at this. These are zooplankton. So small organism, microorganisms. So this is a plankton. Okay. So microscopic plants, very small plants are called as plankton, right? You have zooplankton. So this is a zooplankton, an animal. So this is an animated version. You have good version also. So this is, see, these type of, these are planktons, right? Okay. So they will be moving from one place to another. Next you have one more type called nekton. What is nekton? They are animals which are good swimmers, right? Animals which swim in the water are called as nektons. See, Newton, which is the best example? It is floating, right? Root is, it has roots to, okay, then it comes under periphyton, I think. It comes under periphyton. Whereas Newton, nekton, you have every type of organisms, your shark, your whales, everything which are swimmers. Yes, Newton are unattached organisms. Newton. So whereas your lotus, I thought it doesn't have roots. So lack of general knowledge. So the lotus, they are called as periphytons. So then you have the last type of organisms called benthos. Very important. Benthos andre at the bottom of the lake or ocean or sea, whatever animals you find, they are benthos. Animals and plants which are found at the bottom of the rivers, right? These are benthos. At the bottom of the ocean or seas, whatever you find, they are benthos. So what are the factors limiting the productivity of aquatic organisms? How much they produce, whether they are good in population or whether they are less in population. So what are the factors? As usual, sunlight. More the sunlight, more the productivity, less the sunlight, less the productivity. So when it comes to sunlight in the ocean, there are two zones. See, if this is a surface, so sun is here. So till here you will have sunlight. So this zone is called photic zone, till where the light can reach. Below this, the dark place is called aphotic zone. Till where the light penetrates, it's the photic zone. Till beyond that, it is called aphotic zone. So this photic zone constitutes just 1% of the sea area. Andre 100% idre, this area, this photic zone is just 1%, right? So see, this photic zone will be good when the transparency of water is high. Water is not transparent means photic zone you won't find. Transparency means what? You can see the water, sea water is clear, then sunlight will penetrate. If the sea water is polluted, you cannot, the sunlight will not penetrate. Then aphotic zone is the deeper layer. Deeper layers are called as aphotic zone. Here the light won't penetrate, right? So here when there is no light, the photosynthesis also will be very less. Photosynthesis will be very less. So this deep unlit region sometimes is also called as profundal zone. This aphotic zone is sometimes also called as profundal zone, where there is no light. So then we will talk about, this is the sunlight is the first component. Then we have oxygen. Do we find oxygen directly in the water? No, right? What is there? Dissolved oxygen. So what is the percentage of oxygen? It is 0.001%, I believe. Okay. So oxygen is dissolved in water, dissolved oxygen, right? It is 0.001%. So 0.001% of oxygen you will find in the water. So how does oxygen get into the water? See, in the geological history, I told you earlier there was no oxygen in the atmosphere. All the oxygen came to the atmosphere by degassing from the oceans, right? So, but now how oxygen is there in atmosphere? How does it get into the sea? At the air-sea interface, air and water interface, oxygen will go into the water, right? Oxygen will get into the water. So it enters the water at the interface. Also, it exits the water from the same interface. So this dissolved oxygen, it is used by what? It is used by the fishes, that is organisms, right? So this dissolved oxygen actually, see, when the temperature of the water heats up, this dissolved oxygen will be very less. And as the temperature increases, dissolved oxygen will be reduced. As the temperature decreases, it increases, right? That is why, see what happens, these industries, no, they will leave very hot water into the rivers. So because of which the temperature will suddenly rise, oxygen decreases, all the animals will die, fishes will die. So that is with temperature, the oxygen varies, right? Okay. Next you have, this is about the oxygen. Next you have transparency. Transparency is one factor. Transparency, fresh water has good transparency, and when it is reduced, transparency of water, when there is clay, silt, salts, all those things, transparency is reduced. Then you have temperature. See, when it comes to temperature, sea water temperature increases fastly or slowly? It increases slowly, whereas air temperature increases fastly, right? That is why aquatic organisms, they have very less tolerance limit. Andre, they cannot live beyond a certain temperature range, because they are adapted to very narrow range. They cannot live in very cold water also, very hot water also. In optimum temperature, they are going to live, right? So that is with respect to temperature. So this is all about the what the effect of the various parameters on the aquatic organisms. Now we will talk about the lake ecology. What is a lake? Lake is a body of standing water. It is lotic or lentic. Lotic is flowing water, lentic is stagnant water. It's a stagnant water, right? So these lakes, they have grown over time, andre, because of geomorphic processes. Geomorphic processes, that is endogenic forces, exogenic forces, because of which lake has grown over the time, right? So these lakes, only you will find some lakes are fresh. Which is the deepest lake in earth? Lake, I am talking about the deepest lake. It is Lake Baikal in Russia, which is the largest lake. Huh? Superior, huh? Okay. So these lakes will receive the material from the surroundings. So if there is a lake in your village, what happens? All the fertilizers, all whatever you use, it will, when you put fertilizers and you also irrigate the land, all these fertilizers will eventually end up in the lake. So the nutrition in the lakes will go on increasing because of excess fertilizers in the agricultural land. Also excess sewage. Sewage is also unfortunately connected to the lakes, because of which the nutrition will go on increasing. When the nutrition increases in the lakes, it is called as eutrophication. When the nutrient level increases, it is called as eutrophication, right? So nutrition ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆದಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? The plants, certain plants and animals which are dependent on nutrition, they will increase. But when nutrition increases, the transparency reduces. See, if you leave the sewage water into lake, obviously nutrition, it has having nutrition. The nutrition will increase, but transparency decreases, right? So that is called as eutrophication. So if earlier also, before humans were affecting the lakes, eutrophication used to happen. That is natural eutrophication. Because of anthropogenic cause, because of human cause, if the eutrophication is happening, it is called cultural eutrophication, right? So where do you find? So this is all about the lake ecology. So in India you find lakes everywhere, majorly Himalayan region, Ganga, Brahmaputra belt, everywhere you will find lakes. So with respect to lakes, there is one important information I would like to share. Lake Sudarshan in Gujarat. This is the oldest man-made lake in India. Lake Sudarshan, man-made lake. So it is 300 BC, andre 2300 years, more than 2000 years. Lake Sudarshan in Gujarat, right? Lake ali you have brackish water lake, saline lake, and also freshwater lakes, right? So lakes can also be divided based on nutrition. So you have oligotrophic lake. What is a oligotrophic? It will be asked in your exam. Oligotrophic lake ali there will be very less nutrients, right? Then you have mesotrophic lake. In mesotrophic lake you have moderate nutrients. Then you have eutrophic lake. Eutrophic lake ali you have very high nutrients, right? So in India you will find majorly eutrophic lakes, and very high nutrition lakes you will find in India, right? So this is about the eutrophication. Eutrophication ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? Excess nutrition from the fertilizers. Fertilizers in the excess nutrition is that will from rainwater or because of any other water, it will go into the lakes, right? When that happens, plants will flourish because these plants, they want nutrition. Illi fertilizer, why do you put fertilizer? So that the agriculture, the crops grow. But the same fertilizer goes here, it will make the plants to grow, right? All types of weeds will grow. Then there will be algal blooms. Algal blooms andre algae type of microscopic plants will grow. More algae will grow. When more algae grows, they will need lot of oxygen to respire. So oxygen gets depleted. See, whenever nutrition increases in the lake, oxygen will reduce because there will be more algae. These algae will take in all the oxygen. Oxygen gets depleted, and when oxygen gets depleted, plants will die. Plants will die. Then also when the plants die, what happens? There will be decomposition. Plants will undergo decomposition. So this decomposition, so that will also reduce the oxygen. Decomposition requires oxygen to take place, right? That will reduce the oxygen further. Then what happens? This entire ecosystem will die. Then this entire ecosystem only, there will be no life will be possible. This will be a dead ecosystem. So eutrophication beyond a level is very, very bad, right? Okay, so we will talk about the oligotrophic lakes. So there is a difference. Yeah. So oligotrophic and eutrophic. Oligotrophic, low nutrition, and eutrophic, high nutrition. So aquatic plant production, aquatic animal production, oligotropical less because nutrition is less. Here eutrophically it will be eliminated. Why? Because I told you, excess nutrition will cause the ecosystem to die. So in eutrophically, both the plants and animals will die. So oligotrophic nutrition is low, and here it is high. Oxygen it is present in oligotrophic layer. Here it is absent because of excess nutrition. Ili oligotrophic andre see, oligotrophic, there is less nutrition. Nutrition less idre, whether the lake will be transparent or non-transparent. So there will be transparent, they will be deeper. So here, because of excess nutrition, it will be shallower, right? Then water quality, it is having good quality. This is bad quality. Salts usually lower, it is sometimes higher. Number of plants and animal species, here many, here few, because eutrophication initially it will increase, later on entire ecosystem dies, plants and animals will be very less, right? Okay, so how do we remove the nutrients from the lake? How do we remove the nutrients? So first is we add fresh water to the lake. The nutrient rich lake is there, you add fresh water to the lake. Then generally deep water will have lot of fresh water that you can bring it to the upper layer. Then we can filter the water. Then we can put some plants which will absorb all the nutrients. We can use scientific technology to filter the lake. So all these are the techniques, right? So with respect to this, with respect to lake, there is one data which I would like to share. There is this lake called Aminpur Lake. Aminpur Lake, it is the first biodiversity heritage site. So Aminpur Lake, it is the first biodiversity site in India. It's an ancient man-made lake. Where is this Aminpur Lake? It is in Telangana. Very important information from your prelims perspective, right? It's the first biodiversity heritage site, right? Okay, so it is designated as a first biodiversity heritage site by Biodiversity Act 2002. Okay, so this is all about the lake ecology. Tomorrow we will discuss the eutrophication in some more detail. What are the harms? How does it take place? What will happen? So if you have any doubts, any suggestions, any feedback, any guidance you want, please reach us. You can put it in the comment section, or you can reach us on our Telegram channel, VHS Education Forum. Please make good use of the classes. It's absolutely free of cost, and both freshers and veterans especially UPSC aspirants and also State Public Service Commission aspirants. Please take good care of your health. We will meet again tomorrow. Take care. Jai Hind. Namaste.